Right, a right political hoo-ha this morning. Ministers clashing with the Archbishop of Canterbury after he attacked the government's illegal migration bill as being morally unacceptable. Morality is his business. He's justified to talk about that.
Well, Justin Welby, who said the legislation had too many problems for one speech, warned that it would damage the UK's standing in the world. Let's speak now to Daily Express political reporter Millie Cooke. I mean, he didn't hold back, did he, yesterday? And yet the government have come out and said, actually, what's so moral about not stopping people smugglers?
No, he absolutely didn't hold back. We saw some pretty searing criticism from the Archbishop yesterday. And he wasn't alone in the Lords either. There was some criticism from across the benches. While his criticism has been dismissed by senior Tories, so by the Prime Minister's spokesperson and also Robert Jenrick, it is likely to be ruffling some feathers in the Tory party, because obviously look at the public position that the Archbishop holds. Just look at his role, the role he played in the in King Charles III's coronation. He's not exactly a low-key figure, so I feel like it will be making some Tories pretty nervous at the moment.
And how much do you think the defence that he hasn't come up with an alternative solution will wash? I mean, that's not really his job. His job is to speak out if he feels he has some sort of moral imperative to do so. It's not to come up with government policy.
I think at the moment there's kind of concern that the Lords who are unelected are pushing around the government on policies. But obviously he feels it's his moral duty to speak up. So it's not also, he's not a policy maker. They're kind of just there to scrutinise. So I think he's just trying to push the government to do what he believes is right, which is partly, to be fair, currently in the Lords, his job.
Yeah, it is his job, and being leader of the Church of England is his job as well. He's part of the legislature, being in the House of Lords as well. So these things tie neatly together, but politicians hate being lectured, and they are scared stiff. They're frightened of morality and religion. They really don't like this. But really, has the Archbishop done anything that is
unconstitutional?
Yeah, or not within his remit?
I mean, he is in the House of Lords for a reason. There's a second house for a reason. But equally, one of the dismissals from Deputy Party Chairman Lee Anderson is that the Archbishop is kind of ignoring the will of the people. And he said that about multiple peers in the House of Lords, that he's essentially arguing that...
Well, is it the will of the people or is it the will of the government?
I think the government likes to believe they're the same thing, but yeah. I think they have been under pressure. I've heard from a lot of MPs who feel that their constituents are putting pressure on them to kind of stop the boats and to stop channel crossings to the UK. So I do feel like there is a sentiment among Tory MPs and MPs in general that people want the UK's borders to be more tightly controlled, but equally that doesn't necessarily speak for the whole country, and there is an argument to be made that we should be hearing from a wide range of views.
Well, Lord Dannatt provided an alternative view. Of course, his position having been boss of the armed forces, he said it risks trashing the UK's reputation, and the viciousness of this bill offends many people's moral position. And he also shared the Archbishop's view that it was short-termist, that this was a global, long-term issue, that barges and schemes...
What a problem it is. But then you try telling that to people who can't get a place for their children at their local school, that their medical facilities, their hospitals, their first aid units are being run down. People and other communities being set up on the verge of their existing community, you know, like camps of 500 men somewhere in a village of 2,500 people. And no one's saying this is easy. This is not easy, and it's whether the Archbishop is right or wrong. It is morally questionable, but practically, what else is to be done? And as Jenrick said yesterday, he hasn't come up with another solution. Yeah,
and of course the government always has to think about the taxpayer in all of this as well, and the huge amount of money that is being spent on all of that, and they have to balance that with, of course, also the mandate that they have to try and get control of it.
I think there is a real sentiment among a lot of people across the UK that everyone's so stretched at the moment that there is kind of this fear about giving too much away to people who aren't in the UK, because people are concerned about their own livelihoods. But equally, there's this major fear that the UK is kind of shirking its international responsibility to look after asylum seekers and to kind of stand with the international community in caring for refugees.
OK, well, look, you listening, you watching, what do you think about this intervention by the Archbishop of Canterbury? Whether you're religious or not, do you think that he has a moral duty, a right to spiritually guide or lead the government and the rest of us? Let us know, gbviews@gbnews.uk, or do you think he should just keep his nose out of it?